Hello, I'm Bill Woods and welcome as Network 10 updates the 1998 API Rally Australia. Not only one of the most popular rallies in the world, but this year it is crucial to the World Championship itself. 3 men fighting for the title in the 11th year of this rally. We're in the heat of battle at the moment, the middle of the 3 legs of the API Rally Australia, the Langley Park Super Special Stage. 3 times at the end of each day, the drivers and co-drivers come back here to bring the excitement of the World Rally Championship to the heart of Perth. It's been a unique aspect of this rally. It makes it one of the most popular in the world, but it also makes it extremely exciting for the people of Perth. And Barry Sheen, welcome back to you. Not only is it good for Perth, it's good for Australia, of course.
Well, it is. When you think about it, we're a big country, but not many in population-wise, and we've got a round of the bikes, a round of the Formula One, and a round of the World Rally Championship. You know, all the guys I've spoken to, this is the 11th year they've had the rally, and they all say every year we come here it gets better. So that's a really hard act to follow, isn't it? And when you consider that any one of 3 guys can win it, you know, the atmosphere this year seems even better than it was last year. It's just as noisy.
Fantastic stuff. There's a big crowd here again tonight, and of course, once again this year, expert comments from John Smales. John, a marvellous championship this has been this year. It's been up and down all year. These 3 guys have had, at each time, each stage of the championship, they've had a chance to win it.
Yeah, they have, Bill. What we face now is with 2 rounds to go here in the RAC Rally in Great Britain, only 8 points separates the top 3 drivers. Colin McRae on 42, Tommy Mackinnon on 48, and Carlos Sainz in the lead on 50. On this surface here, there's never been a better surface in Western Australia. The roads have been well swept. This is the 4th fastest rally in the world. 106 kilometres an hour average over 400 kilometres.
Go, Colin McRae.
Okay, Barry wants Colin McRae to win it. Of course, he won it last year. But at various stages this year, McRae, Mackinnon, Sainz, they've all thought they had a grip on this championship, but they've all been world champions before. Who will it be in 1998?
It's shaping as the closest World Rally Drivers' Championship this decade. Just 2 rounds remaining and still 3 contenders in the fight.
Normally you have 2 drivers that are in with a shout towards the end of the year, a sort of serious shout of the championship, but it's 3 now, and well, hopefully if it goes according to plan here, we need to win the rally, and then it's going to be really close for the RAC at the end of the year, and any one of the 3 of us could win, so it's going to be an exciting finish, but we really need to win this rally first of all.
I'm here for winning, and I think the championship at the moment it is important to come here to Australia and try to win.
Spain's Carlos Sainz and Luis Moya lead the title chase on 50 points, but find themselves continually under siege as the fast finishing Tommy Mackinnon on 48 points and Colin McRae on 42 points rapidly reel them in.
I think that Colin's very confident in his own ability. The Subaru is very good, but out and out, Tommy and the Mitsubishi, they're on a roll at the moment, and Tommy's a very talented driver in these circumstances. He can make the car work in these difficult roads.
When I came first time here, 90 with Group N car, I won it immediately in my first time here, and after that it was few days I didn't come here, 95 again, and since that it's been always very good. I have been enjoying very much.
Carlos's record is far from impressive in Australia, and many fear the worst for the man they call El Matador. With only the Rally of Great Britain, McRae's home event, to follow, the importance of winning in Australia has never been so great. McRae in particular knows he can transcend from outsider to favourite with a win in the pebbly forests of Western Australia.
Well, yeah, I mean, we've won it the last 3 years. I'm very confident there. You know, the car works really well in the British forest, so I mean, this is the important one. We've got to, I'm not thinking about RAC, I'm thinking about Rally Australia at the moment. I've got to win here.
Only a handful of seconds separated eventual winner Colin McRae from Tommy Mackinnon at last year's API Rally Australia. But the impetus of a fast finishing Mackinnon will be hard to kill. It's a momentum that's even surprised the Finn himself.
Of course, I knew that the Rally of Finland would be good for me, and I was lucky again to win it. And but then we went to Sanremo and we worked very hard, and that was excellent win for me.
Sainz is well conditioned for battles that go the distance and cannot be discarded. Last year's Rally Australia misfortune proved his undoing, but this year he welcomes the challenge.
I don't see any reason why I cannot win this year. I'm confident with the car, and so I'm confident in general.
From 3 great world champions to 3 Australian champions. They are competing here as well, among a host of others in the API Rally Australia. Barry Sheen, and 3 great characters too.
Well, there's Ed Ordinsky, Possum Bourne and Neil Bates, who of course beat me on the Sega simulator on the RPM show, and I'll never forgive him.
Neither will I, forget it either.
So we've got a really good home contingent, so there's something for everybody in it.
And John Smales, they're competing in 3 different cars and competitive cars too.
Indeed they are. You've got Bates in a World Rally Car Corolla, you've got Bourne in a Subaru, and you've got Ordinsky in an Evo 3 Mitsubishi. Now, Bill, you're right. We don't expect them to compete with the outright World Rally Car drivers, but a magic result for them would be if they're within a second a kilometre of the World Rally Car driver times, and if they could get a top 10 finish.
So a great contest there, not only to get inside the top 10 in the official standings, but they're out to beat each other as well. It's great to see all the Australians here rubbing shoulders with the multi-million-dollar World Championship teams. For local rally drivers, API Rally Australia represents a huge opportunity to compete and rub shoulders with the best in the world. Some even describe it as their equivalent to the V8s at Bathurst. It's the climax of their racing year.
I'm looking forward to it this year, and the car's really good, and I'm looking forward to getting into it.
I really believe we have something very special here that we can build into something super special.
It's the event of the year, the one event you work hardest for.
In Group A, our best hopes lie with a formidable trio. Neil Bates, 3 times Australian Rally champion, will again line up with co-driver Coral Taylor. But this year they'll drive under the Toyota Team Sweden banner. Both are keen to forget last year's well-publicised crash and focus on achieving their best result.
Our focus would be to be the first car behind the factory cars, and to do that we'd need to be Possums.
Winner of the Australian Rally Championship for the last 3 years, Possum Bourne, will also be out to repeat last year's brilliant top 6 finish. Although a Kiwi, Possum bases his team in Australia and regards this more or less like another home rally.
But the number one priority is to get it round and try and wrap up the Manufacturers' Championship for Subaru and the Australian Rally.
The third is Ed Ordinsky. The former production car champ is the 3rd car in the Mitsubishi Rally Art team, alongside reigning world champ Tommy Mackinnon and Brit Richard Burns.
Realistically, the quality of the field in this year's event is probably the best ever in a World Championship rally. To break into the top 10 would be just fantastic.
But the Aussies at API Rally Australia aren't just Bates, Bourne and Ordinsky. In total, there are 38 Australian cars and another 9 co-drivers in different teams. In the F2 category, Sydney-sider Wayne Bell will be flying the Aussie flag in the 2nd factory Hyundai as teammate to Kenneth Eriksson. Newly crowned Australian F2 champ Rick Bates, brother to Neil, will also line up in yet another Rally Australia. Group N, or the production car category, will see a great Aussie battle between 2 Subaru drivers, Rally New Zealand winner Michael Guest and Australian champion Cody Crocker.
And this is probably a good chance for me to show what I'm made of against international competition and the best in the world. And if we can show that we're right up there, then who knows what's in store for next year.
I look forward to the competition with him, but at the end of the day, we're both Subaru drivers, and Stoll and Trellis are both Mitsubishi drivers, and at the end of the day, we need a Subaru to beat a Mitsubishi. Anything can happen in API Rally Australia. We saw Neil Bates have a nasty crash last year, but Ed Ordinsky performed exceptionally well. We're looking forward to a great week again for the Australians. We'll be back with more action from this great rally after the break.
Hello, I'm Carlos Sainz. You are watching API Rally Australia in Channel 10.
Gauche à fond 3. Sur gauche à fond. Botte à fond et 80 mètres.
Welcome back as we go to the action now from API Rally Australia, and it started right here Thursday night, the first Langley Park Super Special stage, and an innovation because for the first time the cars are taking off right in front of the crowd before they go into this figure eight circuit, unique in the world and very, very exciting. Fireworks, bands playing, a carnival atmosphere. Perth once again welcomes the World Championship.
It's regarded as the showpiece of API Rally Australia, Langley Park. Well, not just the park, but more to the point, what the park is transformed into and the feast of action it provides. With so much riding on the final two rallies of the year, nerves were high before the opening stage at Langley Park on Thursday night. To make things worse, the Top Guns had to wait until the lower-ranked competitors finished their runs. In Group A, Ed Ordinsky was the first of the Australians out.
Ed, you can't win the rally here, but it's possible to lose it on this stage.
Yes, of course, but it's a fantastic stage, isn't it? You know, you just you got to try and find that balancing act, and I think most drivers would be juggling with how they want to attack this stage.
Up against Toyota driver Yoshio Fujimoto, Ordinsky was in for a tough run in the older Mitsubishi Evo 3. Fujimoto did take the win, Ordinsky finishing stage 1, 18th overall. Next out, Australian rally champ Possum Bourne.
It's pretty nerve-wracking here, a lot of atmosphere and everything, and you just want to do a good job, lay down a reasonable time and park it for the night and go and think about tomorrow.
Possum's first battle of the weekend was with Finnish Ford pilot Sebastian Lindholm. The Escort had plenty of pace, and not even Possum's high flying could get him across the line in front. Bourne would begin stage 2 in 15th position. With the big crowd being entertained with first-class short-course rallying, the best was still to come. Neil Bates would go head-to-head with fellow Toyota campaigner Freddie Loix.
Neil, what do you hope to achieve on this stage?
Just to get around in a good time. We're running against Freddie, who I think will be very quick and hard to beat, so we'll just try our best and try and keep it straight.
Steering the Toyota Team Sweden car, it was a good chance for Bates to see just how quick fast Freddie Loix is. And after getting a great start, Bates pushed him all the way, but was still some 9/10 slower than Loix. The encouraging thing was that Bates was in the top 10 in 9th. Ford's Bruno Thierry was able to get home some 4/10 of a second ahead of Piero Liati. The Italian had brief contact with one of the barriers and left him in 10th behind Neil Bates.
It's a bit of fun, and hopefully we can beat the guy we're up against. We're up against Oriel, and well, that's it. Just try our best and drive flat out and have a bit of fun.
The likeable British combination of Richard Burns and Robert Reid would be the first of the Mitsubishi Rally Art cars out on their one-on-one with Toyota's Didier Auriol. As much as Burns tried, it would be all to no avail. The Flying Frenchman was just that. Auriol and co-driver Denis Giroudet sent a message to the remaining competitors. He means business in Australia after blitzing the field with a 1 minute 32 lap, quicker than anyone.
Okay, it's good for the team, it's good for Toyota, and tomorrow the rally starts.
With only 2 pairings left, Auriol was looking good unless Colin McRae or Juha Kankinen could come up with something special.
The only thing you can do here is make a mistake and lose a lot. You can't gain a lot.
The crowd was standing at attention. This was one of 2 dogfights they'd come to see. And displaying explosive speed and precision execution around the tight 2.2 kilometre course was the Ford driver who came out on top by 6/10 of a second. The first of 3 Langley Park special stages came down to what some may call the ultimate matchup, Mackinnon versus Saints.
Carlos, what can you achieve on this small stage?
Nothing really, just enjoy the people. I think it doesn't matter so much what we are doing tonight because we have a still long way in the forest.
With just 2 points separating these two for the World Championship, every single stage a 1/10 of a second count. The Toyota Mitsubishi confrontation didn't disappoint, with it hard to separate them. But it was the reigning world champ who struck the first blow with a 3/10 of a second win over Saints, and more importantly, matched Didier Auriol's 1 minute 32 lap time. The first stage would end in a draw.
Not a bad result tonight, that's good.
Not at all, it was good fastest time, it's good start for the rally.
Unlike last year, the first stage at Langley Park was a success for Tommy Mackinnon. For Saints, he would begin the second stage in 3rd, ahead of Kankinen and Loix in 5th.
Mackinnon just a little bit quicker. Had you expected him to do that?
3/10 of a second, I'm not going to decide anything.
Into tunnel narrow, 20,
left, long, 120, flat left, 50. So once again, Langley Park gives us a dynamic start to API Rally Australia, but a long, long way to go. In 1998, they've introduced for the first time in the World Championship timing to the tenths of a second, and that has given us still a tie between Mackinnon and Oriol, but Carlos Sainz, because of that new timing system, is now 2 tenths behind, officially third in that first stage. But after the break, we're going to get really serious. We're going to the forests and be very, very fast around Perth.
Hi, I'm Richard Burns.
It's a daytime action in API Rally Australia. 9 stages. We go from York Railway to the big jumps at Muresk.
The first leg of API Rally Australia would take the competitors 100 kilometres east of Perth to the historic township of York. And championship leader Carlos Sainz would lead the field away for the first of the high-speed forest stages. But it was Subaru's Colin McRae who would share the quickest time of the second stage with Ford's Juha Kankinen. And it wasn't without drama. McRae and Grist insisted their time was 5 seconds faster than the 2:37.9 that was recorded.
There's a bit of a time discrepancy from stage 2. Will that be sorted out?
Yeah, well, it'll need to be, because obviously we need to know what the times are before we can decide for tactical moves.
When's that likely to happen?
Hopefully now, hopefully now.
The time stood, and they would maintain their 4th outright, 6 tenths behind pace setters Sainz and Kankinen. Further back, Freddie Loix had already snatched 9th from Neil Bates.
I think on that side they had a little bit an advantage because the road was quite nice cleaned, but still it was not easy.
Neil, how's that first run?
Yeah, not too bad. You know, probably a little bit easy, but not too bad at all.
The slippery conditions early in the day not only gave the visitors a healthy challenge, but gave the locals something to think about as well.
Have you settled into this event yet?
I was just laughing to stay, so I just fumbled a couple of gears there. You know, once you're trying to fit between the trees and steer and brake and find lots of gears, you know, I stuffed up a couple of times, but not bad for a starter, you know, after a few months away.
Just took it fairly careful, made sure of everything was all right, and just getting my head around the event.
Now, are you, like everybody else, finding it a little slippery?
Yeah, it did seem very slippery. That's why I was a bit tentative in a couple of places.
The third stage was an early turning point with Frenchman Didier Auriol and Brit Richard Burns leapfrogging the field to the top of the leaderboard. Auriol leading Burns by just 1/10 of a second.
Yeah, I mean, it's okay doing it on these stages, but obviously the important thing is to still be right up there at the end of the last day, and it's going to be quite tactical, I think, from tonight onwards.
After the shorter York Railway stage and the first of the Muresk stages, the drivers and teams had a chance to take a brief break before heading into the 28-kilometre Bunnings stage.
Early days yet, but everything started the way you hoped this morning?
Yes, so far no problem. Stages are quite slippy because we are second car. I think it's even worse for Carlos.
This would be the beginning of the Burns charge. Following Sainz, teammate Mackinnon, Scott Colin McRae and the consistent Juha Kankinen, Burns was an amazing 14 seconds quicker than his World Championship Mitsubishi teammate and left Oriol behind too. By the end of stage 6, the lead was out to over 20 seconds.
60, fast right.
We can't understand why we're so quick. You know, it doesn't feel all that fast to us, and we're a little bit surprised, but we just keep going.
Well, based off your time in there, over that whole distance, you're roughly half a second per kilometre quicker than anybody else. That's very impressive.
Yeah, it's not bad with the present company. I have to go.
Unfortunately, Bunnings would claim the rally's first victim. After slamming a tree, Piero Liardi and Fabrizio Pons were forced to retire.
Yeah, unfortunately, that doesn't bode very well for Subaru for the manufacturer's title, but these things happen from time to time.
At the halfway mark of leg 1 and Burns at the helm, Oriel had slipped to 5th behind Mackinnon, McRae and Kankinen. Once top 10 sitter Neil Bates was again struck down by what now seems to be his annual API Rally Australia blues.
Coral, some time lost on that stage. What was the problem?
We had a flat tyre. Like 5k into a 28-kilometre stage, you've got to stop and change it.
Up until then, everything was looking very good too?
Yeah, I mean, the stages this morning have been really slippery, but I think that's, everyone's finding the same. But having a flat tyre, with the distance too great to keep driving, then the time lost is, huge.
While Bates now struggled some 6 minutes behind Burns, arch rival Possum Vaughan was on the way up. Finishing stage 6, a very impressive 3rd behind Burns and Saints. The Kiwi was now in 9th.
Half a second off Bates that time.
Oh, spot on. That's what I like, got to keep it even. That's what it's been like all year, isn't it?
All was well for Fast Freddy too. Loix, once as far back as 10th, was also on the charge, sitting 7th after a good run in stage 6.
Ready? The road conditions?
I think not so bad for me because I'm number 11, so it's already a little bit cleaned and I'm happy with that.
Yeah. Can you get 4 seconds off it next time round?
No, I don't think so, but okay, we will see what we can do.
Ed Ordinsky was well placed in 11th, while Kenneth Eriksson led F2. And the big news was Australia's Michael Guest was the leader of Group N.
So, no one as yet taking a strong grip on API Rally Australia, but the complexion of the first day was to change completely. We'll have that after the break.
I'm so glad to have you, and it's getting worse. I'm so mad to love you, and your evil curse.
Hi, I'm Wayne Bell from the Hyundai Rally team. Stay tuned for more API Rally action from Channel 10.
Welcome back as we continue our look at the first full day of API Rally Australia. Now we're moving on towards Bundaring and 2 30-kilometre stages.
By the time the field had completed stage 7, a short 10-kilometre special stage titled Kevs, it was becoming obvious the day would be Richard Burns. The Mitsubishi driver was making every post and tree a winner. His time of 5 minutes 52 seconds was half a second faster than teammate Tommy Mackinnon and 3 seconds faster than Toyota's Didier Auriol. The victory was Burns' 4th of the day, pushing his overall lead to 21 seconds over Mackinnon and 32 seconds ahead of Auriol. The day's longest stage, the 34-kilometre Flins stanza, proved to be Burns' finest hour. The 27-year-old Englishman completely blitzed the field with the drive of the year, posting times more than half a second a kilometre quicker than his rivals.
I think when we found a lot in the braking and in the transmission before San Remo when it translates onto gravel and the car's working really good.
In the end, Burns pulled a further 17 seconds ahead of the pack, placing him 52 seconds in front of Didier Auriol and 1 minute ahead of Mackinnon and McRae in the overall classifications. The stage took its toll on several drivers. Tommy Mackinnon's suspension broke 16 kilometres from home. The setback saw the defending world champion drop to 3rd place, and he was in no mood for conversation. Rocks and dirt were causing all sorts of problems for unsuspecting drivers. Kiwi Possum Vaughan had a close call which sent him into the bushes. By day's end, Vaughan was comfortably inside the top 10, some 2.5 minutes behind Burns.
No, that's not too bad. It was just when today we come around a sharp corner and there's a huge rock in the middle of the road. But rather than hit it with the front of the car, I just chucked it in and hit it with the sill. And then there was a little track through the trees, so I went through there rather than back up.
Scotsman Colin McRae was slipping further down the field as the rally progressed. Poor setup was costing him dearly.
I've been complaining of something wrong with the car most of the morning, and I think it's one of the bearings and the struts that have started to collapse. There's a real bad smell of burning rubber now with the tyre on the suspension. So.
The Toyotas of Carlos Sainz, Didier Auriol and Freddie Moix were making the best of a tough situation. They filled second, third and fourth places respectively at Flins, but all agreed Burns was seemingly untouchable.
No, I don't. Okay, I believe, of course. He's very fast. Very, very fast.
Tommy Mackinnon's woes continued in the lead-up to the 30-kilometre Helena stage, the second last of the day before heading back to Langley Park. The Finn's suspension problems delayed his arrival by several minutes, incurring an immediate 1 minute 20-second penalty. The setback didn't prevent Mackinnon from posting an excellent time, however. He finished second fastest, just 1.3 seconds behind Richard Burns, who was continuing his unbelievable run. Amazingly, Burns could have gone even faster.
I'm a bit annoyed. We went straight past the junction in there, so it should have been much faster.
Freddie Leutz finished the day with 2/3. Prior to heading back to Langley Park, he was in 5th position, 1 minute 25 behind Burns.
Okay, for me everything is very good. I have no problems up down, and I'm happy with my times.
Australia's Neil Bates limped home 8 minutes behind the leaders following a day of extreme bad luck.
Extremely disappointed. Very disappointed.
What can you do tomorrow to claw it back?
You can't. If you lose time like that, you can never get it back.
Ed Ordinsky finished just outside the top 10 and was very pleased with his drive.
Well, we had a really terrific day, but we've got a little more to go yet to get around Langley Park. But there's just terrific stages, very good condition.
The Formula 2 lead changed hands several times. Kenneth Eriksson set the pace early, but dropped slightly following a drive shaft problem, allowing Alistair McRae to gain ground. While in Group N, Australia's Michael Guest held a 5-second lead over Gustavo Treyes when the cars headed for home. However, the day belonged to Mitsubishi's Richard Burns, who won 7 of the 9 stages contested in the Forest. In his wake were Didier Auriol by 1 minute 7 seconds and Carlos Sainz by 1 minute 20. Colin McRae lies in 6th place overall, 1 minute 36 in arrears, while Tommy Mackinnon headed back to Langley Park 2 minutes 20 off the pace.
What a day for Richard Burns. All the experts here seem to agree that it was the best of his career, but there was still the Langley Park Super Special stage to come. We'll be back after the break to take a look at that.
Hi, I am Didier Auriol of the team Toyota Castrol. You're watching Happy High Rally Australia on Canal 10.
Welcome back as we continue our highlights of API Rally Australia, and it seemed all of Perth turned out once again to Langley Park to cap off a magnificent day yesterday.
After the dust and danger of the forest, the last stage of day one was to be in the carnival atmosphere of Langley Park. More than 10,000 people turned up for the showdown. Red hot from the forest, Richard Burns was matched against second placeman Didier Auriol. Celebrating the biggest day one margin of any World Rally Championship this year, Burns had very little to gain at Langley Park and a lot to lose. Burns backed off, a 5th place on 1 minute 33.1, a full second behind Auriol, but still more than a minute ahead after the day's competition. Leg 1 had simply been the best drive of Burns' career. Local honour was on the line. After a rotten day, Neil Bates found himself matched against arch-rival Possum Bourne. Bourne was lying 9th, Bates after his puncture 19th. But on Langley Park, Bates cut loose. His time of 1:34.1 was good enough for a strong 7th. Bourne was 2.1 seconds behind, 5 places down. Tommy Mackinnon too was on a charge. Paired with Juha Kankkunen, Mäkinen muscled the Mitsubishi around Langley Park. The rear suspension still not right. He was 0.6 of a second clear of Kankkunen. Mäkinen clocked 1:32.5, good enough for second place, just behind outright winner Didier Auriol. But the controversy of the night came from Carlos Sainz. The Spaniard arrived at Langley Park lying third in the rally. He'd spent the day as the lead car, acting as a road sweeper, clearing the track of gravel and making it faster for those behind. It was not a position Carlos wanted on day 2. For him, fifth on the road seemed ideal, so at Langley Park he purposely backed off at the finish. Level pegging Colin McRae right to the end, he crawled across the finish line to finish 20th, dropping 6 seconds and 2 places in the rally. It's time he'll make up on leg 2, now that he's on a swept track.
To run back in the road is much nicer, much better. The road is cleaner. And last year on the second day we managed to catch up almost a minute on the guys driving in front.
So at the end of leg 1, Richard Burns, who now becomes the road sweeper, is dominant leader by 1 minute and 6 seconds. But behind him, the storm clouds are brewing. Didier Auriol has a 16-second lead over Kankkunen. Just 4 seconds separates Freddie Loix and Carlos Sainz. 6th and 7th places are held by Colin McRae and Ford's Bruno Thierry. In 8th, 2 minutes and 22 seconds behind Burns, is his teammate, world champion Tommy Mäkinen, ahead of Possumborn and Sebastian Lindholm. The big question, can Mäkinen, fired up now, set leg 2 alight?
So quite an incredible lead for the first day of a World Championship rally, but the World Championship battle very evenly poised, because at this stage, not a lot of points on offer for McRae, Mäkinen or Sainz. The battle, though, is sure to heat up. We'll be back after the break to wrap it up.
Hi, I'm Gwyneth Evans. You're watching API Rally Australia on Channel 10.
From the aerial shots, there doesn't seem to be too much to the dirt roads that surround Perth and API Rally Australia. But close up, there are all kinds of traps and pitfalls. Possumborn took us through the Bunnings stage with John Smales.
After 3 days of hard rallying, perhaps the hardest stage of all is here, the API television stage at the Bunnings complex. And Possumborn, you've driven this stage more than anyone else. Tell us about it.
It's a pretty serious stage. We're right here at the start, actually. Tarmac start here. 2 things you don't want to forget at the start of any rally stage. Don't leave early, because you'll get a minute penalty, and obviously don't leave late, because every second late you leave goes to your time. First big challenge is the crest. About 140 k's over there. Down the straight, brake at about 40 metres. Now it's blind turning into this corner. Want to get the line just bang on, second gear and step on it. I don't want to run wide because I'll end up in the drain and you don't get much time there. And if you get in this loose stuff, you're in big trouble. You can see how it just rolls. This is the most challenging corner here. The big boys will come up here, absolutely flat. The co-driver said that that's a 4-5 left, which is flat. The difference between making it and not making it is about the length of my foot on the road here. If I get it right, I'm on the hard bit of the road and it'll turn straight in. If I get in the loose stuff here, it'll slide wide and run off the outside of the corner. Big trouble.
So this is the longest straight on the stage, about 180 kilometres an hour coming up there. When do you brake?
About 100, 150 metres out. What the idea is to brake with the weight going the opposite way to what you want to, and then as you lift off the brake, the car spins around, down 4 gears, line the centre, your line up on the corner and just nail it. Gone. Shouldn't have to lift again.
So you don't actually use the road, do you? You move in from the road.
That's right. On my note says can cut. I want to be in about 1.5 feet and then just nail it straight off down the straight.
So that tree there, which side of the tree do you go on?
On the right. 1.5 feet. The best jumps in Australia, just fantastic coming down here. I used to stick it in 5th here and you just down you go. off the second jump is really spectacular. You get high, the car starts drifting to the left, and you got to, correcting in the air sounds a bit strange, but you got to follow the car as it goes down the hill, lands, flicks around the other way for the second jump, over that little bit sideways, and then off down to the water jump. Fantastic.
So coming into the water splash, what gear are you in?
I'm coming down the box. I want to get into first just as I come into the water splash. I want to have the wipers already going and then stand on it, because I want to go through the water with the nose up, accelerating, splash into the water, and then I want to get a good line here because this will be muddy now, lots and lots of water around. Come through there and right and up over the hill to the finish.
And of course, Possum Bourne will be back at Bunnings competitively for the climax of what should be an amazing rally. There's already been plenty of drama, John Smales, particularly revolving around Possum and his great rivalry with Neil Bates.
Oh yeah, well Possum today started really slowly, Bill. We were really worried about him. He just wasn't dialing in. Then he started to come good during the day. By the end of play today, he's 9th in the rally. The Australians are doing really well. Ed Ordinsky is in 12th position. Michael Guest leads the production car class and is 15th outright. That's spectacular. But where's Neil Bates? He's lying 19th and he had a big problem.
Yeah, poor old Neil, he had a tyre puncture, and Neil doesn't have the technology that all the top factory guys have in the, it's called a mousse. They fill a tyre with a mousse, so if the tyre goes down, you run on this sort of mousse and you can carry on the section. He couldn't do that, so he had to stop and change the wheel, and that cost him like 4 minutes, which is the end of the day.
Well, hopefully by the final stage, that contest will still be alive, and I'm sure you guys will still be alive to join us for the climax to API Rally Australia. Thanks tonight, John Smales and Barry Sheen. Should be a marvellous afternoon. RPM, of course, at the usual time for 1 hour. Then 2 hours, a very special show, which will wrap up the whole rally, but also contains a live call of the very important Bunnings stage, the final stage, which could well decide perhaps even the World Championship. Who knows? It's been a marvellous contest so far. In fact, if Colin McRae wins this rally, Tommy Mackinnon comes 3rd and Carlos Sainz 5th. They will go into the final round of the World Championship all on 52 points. That just gives you an idea of how amazing this API Rally Australia is. Hope you can join us for the final program. On behalf of the crew, it's bye.